Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 251. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. Stephen Covey.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, my Indie Film Hustlers, to another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Today's episode is brought to you by Blackbox. Blackbox is a new platform and community that is all about financial freedom for filmmakers like you. If you join Blackbox, you will be transformed from being a worker to being a maker of your own content. And you'll be making steady passive income from the global market. Blackbox currently allows you to upload your stock footage once, get it to many global agencies, and then allows you to share that passive income stream with your collaborators. Whether you want to submit old footage that's been sitting around in your hard drives or create brand new content, Blackbox is for you. It's really quite revolutionary. With Blackbox, filmmakers can concentrate on making great content while Blackbox takes care of all the business BS. Just visit www.blackbox.global to find out more. Today's show is also sponsored by Studio Unknown. Studio Unknown is a crack team of audio post professionals known for quality sound on any indie budget. Whether you need a lush surround sound mix or a quick festival submission pass, Studio Unknown can help you with all of your post sound needs, from sound design and mix to Foley, ADR, and even a custom score. Contact Studio Unknown and mention the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, and you'll get 50% off one day of ADR or 10% off your complete post sound package. Just go to studiounknown.com. Now, before we get into the episode today, I want to thank all the tribe members that have sent me well wishes for my birthday. I really do appreciate it tremendously, guys. It means a lot and warms my heart. So thank you so much. Another year older, another year wiser, but we got to keep on hustling. So today, guys, we're going to talk about how to get your film on Netflix, what the inner workings of Netflix is, what they're looking for, how they pick their movies, what they pay for their movies, and all the strategies on how to actually do it. And today on the show, we have Neil Ames from Distribber, who is the Netflix guru. He has been working with Netflix since before they were streaming. He knows the inner workings of that company very, very well. And I've been dying to have him on the show to kind of, spill the beans a little bit about how Netflix works and what can filmmakers do and what they're looking for and how Netflix has changed over the years, because 2 years ago they were buying up things left and right at Sundance, and this year that went by they did not buy barely anything. So things are changing, and he's going to talk about the current state of Netflix as well. So without any further ado, enjoy my conversation with Neil Ames. I'd like to welcome to the show Neil Ames, man. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Yeah, of course. Excited.
I know, man. We've known each other for a while now. We've partied a little bit at Sundance. You were in my movie on the corner of Ego and Desire.
I was, yeah. Exciting stuff.
I'm not sure if you made the cut, but I know you were there. I think your shoulder's there. At least your shoulder's there. But if not, I'll just make you a special copy just for you.
Perfect. I need proof. Yeah,
I need proof that I was there.
That I was there. Yeah.
So the reason I want to have you on the show, man, is obviously you work for Distribber, and you are the Netflix guru.
Correct.
There, and you know all things Netflix. You're like the Yoda of Netflix on how to get in, all that kind of stuff. But before we get into that, how did you get into the distribution business in the first place, and how many years have you been doing it?
Yeah, so I moved out to LA in 2009. Like many LA people, I came out here to be an actor. Mm-hmm. So, basically wanted to fulfill my dreams, just test the water out. My family basically gave me like a year to kind of, go do your dreams. We'll see what happens, but after a year, you need to rethink your choice, how are you going to make money and whatnot. Sure. So obviously, being 21 years old, moving out to LA, I didn't really do a lot of acting. I, just hung out with friends. I went out. So after about a year, I only did a couple of one-off independent things, nothing big. And my parents are like, you either need to come back to Texas or you need to find a job. So I basically I started reaching out. I wanted to do something in the entertainment business, obviously, because I felt like, all right, well, if I am not going to be doing acting, I might as well do something in entertainment. So I got a job. My first job was at Deluxe Digital Studios, and they are a giant like encode delivery house.
Yes.
So it was my first job. They wanted me to work on the localization and like subtitling department.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, right. So
Super
of course
exciting.
I'm like, what the hell is localization? What the hell is a subtitle? I knew nothing about it. But it was a job, so I was like, sweet, let's do it. So funny enough, that was back in December 2009. So that was right around when Netflix started doing their originals. So I believe the first one was like Orange is the New Black was the first. Big.
Was it House of Cards or Orange is the New Black was the first one?
Well, I didn't think House of Cards was it an original?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Was okay.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
It was back when they started doing all
around that time.
So
Gotcha.
so
around
whatever
that
was. So I just started at Deluxe in localization and captions and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, you're new. Netflix is starting to do originals. Do you want to, manage the desk? So I'm like, sure. I have no idea what localization is still, So it's like,
and what is this Netflix you speak of?
So what is this Netflix?
What is this Netflix you speak of?
Exactly. Like it was just, getting away from, the DVDs.
Right.
So I knew a little bit, I obviously knew what it was, but I didn't realize like the magnitude that it was going to be growing into. So of course I said yes. So at that point on, I, was managing, all the subtitles and localization for all the Netflix series, Netflix originals, licensed content. So, back in 2009, I started learning their spec. And this is back when, their spec was just brand new. They weren't even sure what they were doing. They were testing the industry standards. They were kind of making their own technical requirements for their content, which was crazy. And everyone was, upset with it because they're like, this is not standard. Like, you cannot just create your own technical requirement. And of course, they were like, we're Netflix. We can do whatever we want. So,
sure. And they weren't even Netflix yet. They were just Netflix, but they weren't like Netflix like they are now.
Yeah, it was definitely not the beast that it is now. So I was at Deluxe, working with Netflix specifically, learning their spec, learning everything I could about subtitles and closed captions. And again, I slowly figured out what all that was. Yeah, super fun. But what's really nice is, areas where I'm not familiar with, I drill myself to make sure I understand everything about it. So I literally, if anyone's seen Netflix's delivery guidelines, it's like, I feel like 100 pages of just technical requirements and everything, like do's and don'ts and, everything. About Netflix.
That was going to be one of my questions. Can you just discuss quickly what are the deliverables that Netflix looks for nowadays on a standard independent film?
Yeah, so their overall requirement is, they want Apple ProRes 422 HQ. Obviously, that's a pretty standard Apple-based file format. And that's usually just for like an HD file. They are now obviously getting into the 4K and stuff like that. So if you do have a 4K, they actually do require us to deliver what is called an IMF package. And an IMF is basically I think it stands for inoperable master or something master file, but it's basically this awesome file which you basically can, if you need to redeliver something, you can actually just redeliver like one clip instead of redelivering the whole file. And you can redeliver that one clip and it actually inputs itself into the master file, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so it's pretty neat. So yeah, those, pretty standard, Netflix kind of goes off of the iTunes specifications. So, Apple ProRes 422, they do require closed captions for the original audio, because of the United States and the FCC rules. Everything online, anything streaming needs to be closed captioned just for the hard of hearing.
Sure.
And that's pretty much it. And then the only other real crazy thing is
stereo and 5.1, or does it matter?
Stereo 5.1. They obviously want the best, so if you have 5.1, they do require that, but they do take stereo. And another thing that is kind of crazy is they do require at least 15 pieces of artwork, which is nuts.
That's insane.
Yeah, but as you can imagine, you have your TV, you have your phone device, there's so many different pieces of artwork that are being viewed on different devices. And then even now with their latest, the way the site is right now, you see, when you pause a film, you'll see like stills when so they definitely use all 15 pieces of artwork. But, it's always fun, talking to the licensors and people who are, releasing their content on Netflix. They're like, 15 pieces, what the hell?
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show.
I have a poster, like I have one poster,
right.
And we're like, well, you gotta create more. But,
so you're working with Netflix.
So we're working with Netflix, and I was at Deluxe for about 5 years. And then I went over to Visual Data, which is another encode facility that works with Netflix. And that's where I started learning a little bit more about like the video formats and learning about the video technical requirements and the audio. So that was kind of nice, a nice move for me, just because I, was working only on subtitles at Deluxe, but then I went over to Visual Data and started working on all the other components that involved, Netflix. And funny enough, because, I do feel like I started working with Netflix early on, that was actually what a lot of people were drawn towards, with me is, I know the spec, I know it like the back of my hand, and they're like, great, we're just now getting into this beast as well. So we want you, someone who knows what they're doing with Netflix. And then,
and you also had relationships you've built up over the years at Netflix.
So I feel like I know like I can't say half the team because it's like thousands upon thousands, but I do work with a lot of people over there. And what's nice is, when I started, I was at the bottom of the line, at Deluxe, and I was working with people who are at the bottom of Netflix. And now, we're growing in our careers simultaneously. So the people I've worked with 10 years ago, they're now like directors and senior directors over at Netflix and whatnot. So, so that's always been nice. Basically, I've been working with them for about 10 years. Obviously their technical spec changes like every week, I feel like. So it's always, just refreshing myself on that just to make sure I know the latest and, the latest that they're wanting. My latest job, so I'm currently at Distribber and Go Digital right now. When we are actually one of Netflix's preferred aggregators. So what that means is, they actually look to us for content. And then they also, when they license content, so they come to like final terms with, a licensor or a content owner. They actually come to us to basically finalize the contract and then handle all the deliverables.
Even if it didn't go through you?
Even if it didn't go through me, yeah. So there's like two avenues that we do with Netflix. One is, they come to us and they're like, hey, we just finalized this deal. We would like, Go Digital Distribber to aggregate it for us and, handle the deliveries. We handle all the payments for them. And as you can imagine, with Netflix and having thousands upon thousands of films and, series, they can't, access that many bank accounts. So that's why they basically go to us to basically do that for them. So we're the ones who get paid by Netflix and then we pay the licensor. So that was,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So that's one avenue. And then the other avenue is, people can actually come directly to our site, Distribber, and submit that they want to be pitched or reviewed for Netflix.
Now, what's that process? What's that process like?
Yeah. So obviously, as you can imagine, Netflix is kind of like that diamond in the rough. Everyone wants that golden ticket, that Netflix license deal. So what people do is they'll come to our site and they'll pay a fee for us to basically review and curate the content. Obviously, we're not going to pitch every single thing that we receive from that or from, that comes to us because, Netflix, they do have very, very high standard and they are very curated. So, we can't pitch stuff to them that, maybe the production value is not there or maybe the storyline is just not very engaging. So when people come to us to pitch or to request that we review their content, we actually sit and we watch the films. So we sit there and we make sure everything, the production quality is there. Are there any name actors? How is it edited? How does the picture look? So there's a lot of different things that we review on our end just to make sure that it's even a good fit for Netflix.
Now, what is Netflix looking for in today's world? Because I know that answer changes on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so it really does.
What are they looking for from the independent world specifically?
So at the end of the day, they're looking for something that is commercial. They want it to reach the maximum amount of audience. So they don't want something that's very limited and only a select group will watch and review. Another thing, they're looking for like genres. So something that's like a horror film. Before a couple of years ago they were kind of like done with horror films, but now not done, but they were like oversaturated with it. And now that since everything's going towards originals now, they're looking for good quality, like horror, good, true crime type stuff. Ever since Making a Murderer, true crime has been blown up on Netflix. Yeah. So, they're looking for true crime stuff. But yeah,
movies or series?
Series, I mean, documentaries, series, anything that covers, if it was like a notorious murder or something like that, something that people, I feel like at the end of the day, everyone's kind of interested in like murder and fascinated with murder and whatnot.
Sure, of course. I'm
obsessed with it. So, it's that sounds terrible, but
you're the first one to go in the horror movie.
Yeah, right.
You're the first one. But so let me ask you though, how important is audience when it comes to Netflix? Because I've heard that they are looking for properties with either actors that will have audience in it, or if there's a stand-up show, comedians, they're looking for subscribers, that they want new subscribers. And that's generally what they are looking for when they're purchasing or licensing a product. How many more subscribers is this going to get me?
So it's definitely, they definitely take that into consideration. When I'm reviewing content and there are known actors or there are known people in there, that is something that I present to Netflix. I'm, saying like, hey, this actor, he may not be A-list yet, but he's growing, and he has, 300,000 followers. And I can even, talk to the licensor, the content owner, and be like, is this actor with 300,000 followers, are they willing to basically promote the film, basically say like, hey, this film's on Netflix, you guys should go check it out? Because at the end of the day, that's basically, in Netflix's eyes, they're seeing $300,000 or 300,000 people potentially going to their site. So yes, it's definitely a big factor, because like you were saying, they want new subscribers, but it's not, if there's no name actors and it's still a really good story and the production value is good, they're still, willing to review it and, consider it. But, yeah, go ahead.
No, so what I heard as well is that the U.S., they've got the U.S. pretty much locked down. So they're looking for also content, and please tell me if I'm right or wrong, looking for content that will translate overseas, because that's the growth market. While the U.S., I mean, they don't have all of the U.S. obviously yet, but they're pretty damn like 100 million.
I mean, yeah, right.
I mean, so they're starting to hit that wall, or will hit that wall in the U.S. soon, but overseas in Europe and other markets, India, they're looking for things that translate to those areas as well. Am I right or wrong with that?
Yeah, that's definitely, at the end of the day, Netflix, they want exclusivity. So they want, first rights, the first window for that SVOD, platform. So yeah, they are constantly, something that, for example, if, there was a release in the United States, but there wasn't one in India, they may be like, okay, well, let's buy the first release, for India, just to grow that territory over there. And India is a new one that is definitely growing. We've actually received a lot of content from India. But, at the end of the day, they are looking to expand. I feel like each quarter, or like each year, they're doing a brand new release, a brand new territorial release. So like last year was India. And then this past year, I believe they were trying to do like, I can't think of what the territory is, but yeah, so they're looking to definitely expand and gain more viewers, universally, which is why they are willing to buy, the worldwide rights. They do want worldwide rights because they want that option to expand to these territories when needed.
What's a standard Netflix deal's terms generally, like lengthwise?
Yeah, so it definitely depends. With us, we typically see anywhere from, 12 months exclusive to all the way up to like 48 months. And, they want that exclusivity. They don't really do a lot of non-exclusive deals. And non-exclusive basically means that you can be on other SVOD platforms. So other like an Amazon Prime or a Hulu, they don't want their content on those platforms because they want people to go to their site directly. Exclusivity. Yeah. So, I would say the average terms, that we've been seeing are anywhere from 12 months to, 48.
Now, what is the price range of what they are paying for original content? I mean, obviously it's going to range dramatically, but what's like the low ball world and where's the high end world, if you can even discuss that?
Yeah, no. So yeah, original content. Obviously, they're willing to pay a lot more for original content because it's exclusively theirs. So the content that we've seen, it definitely is a ballpark because it does change based on their budget, based on how many territories again are available and whatnot. But we've seen anywhere from something that's like $50,000 for 12 months.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show.
Exclusive on Netflix all the way up to 1.5 million. So we've seen millions
in the indie world. In the indie world,
this is just for original content. So for their original content.
So explain that. So because when I think of original content, I'm thinking House of Cards, Orange Is the New Black, those kind of things. But they're producing that. So they're not licensing that; they're producing that. To my knowledge.
It depends. There's actually like House of Cards and Orange Is the New Black. Those were I think House of Cards was Paramount. That Netflix bought the SVOD bought the SVOD rights for. Orange Is the New Black was a Lionsgate production that Netflix again bought the rights.
But they're making deals with those production companies.
Correct.
So let's say I have an independent film that I spent, let's say $1 million for, and it won Sundance, and it's got a couple of decent sized stars in it. And if they're interested in it, are you seeing $1 million buys on that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So we, it's probably be, something like that would probably be in the, 100,000s to possibly $1 million, $1 million.
Depending on what kind of project.
Yeah. Depending on what it is, what the reaction was. But they basically will buy the rights and brand it as an original. So Netflix is doing two types of buying, I guess, because they definitely are spending a lot of money on producing their own content now. And I believe this year they've spent like $8 billion just in it was crazy, in just producing their own content. So yes, this is something where they'll go to writers and they'll go to production companies and basically say, we want you guys to develop this content for us.
Right.
So that's, them getting started in the very pre-production stage. But then they're also, reviewing content that's already done and it just hasn't been anywhere. And instead of going to the theaters, they'll basically pay for it to go on their site. And so they'll brand it as a Netflix original because it's just not going to go anywhere else but Netflix. But yes, they're definitely looking... they will pay for original content because, they realize how much money could potentially be lost by the content owner, if they're not doing it theatrical, if they're not doing transactional, if they're not, so they're willing to pay, especially if you have the worldwide rights again.
And then on those kind of deals, are those deals 12 months as well, or they own it at that point?
They basically own it at that point.
Right.
There might be a point, after 10 or 12 years that the license may end. But they basically are buying, that exclusivity for however long they want. But I believe just even those terms, unless they're obviously producing it on their own, I believe those terms they will run out eventually, but they're just a lot longer than, the typical licensed content.
Because it makes perfect sense on a business standpoint on Netflix. If you're looking at it from Netflix point of view, they're like, well, why should I continue to license other people's stuff for a year or 2 years where I can just make my own content and I own it?
Yep.
And it's on my platform for House of Cards is not going to leave Netflix.
Nope.
Ever. Orange Is the New Black's not leaving Netflix.
Yep.
And those are going to live there forever. And then they're so good that people come in specifically, like all the
keep watching it,
like the Marvel deal that they did with all the Jessica Jones and Daredevil and the Punisher and all that stuff. It's pretty remarkable what they've done. It really is pretty remarkable, and the amount of content that they produce on a weekly basis.
I know.
Is insane. I turn it on. I'm like, I got so many things on my queue. I'm like, I'm never going to get to all of this.
I know.
There's so much content.
Yeah, and it's definitely gotten to the point too where now they're spending another, I don't know how many billion, but they're spending, they're actually building their own production studios now.
Of course they are.
So, instead of, before they used to go to Fox or go to Sony and rent out those spaces, and they're like, why would we do that? Let's just do our own,
Did you hear what the news was the other day? I think it was yesterday that Netflix just creeped overvaluing Disney.
No, are you serious?
I'm
no, I did not hear that.
I read it. I actually heard it in NPR.
Wow.
They said, they just creeped over the evaluation. So Netflix is worth more than Disney at this moment, or they're neck and neck. Isn't that? Can you imagine that? Like that's
and Disney's been around for years, and Netflix has only been around like
decades,
15 years. Yeah.
Decades.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. So how does Netflix categorize a successful acquisition? What are their parameters? Because I'm assuming, is it view time? Because you can't tell if a subscriber is subscribing for a specific title.
So yeah, whenever we, basically whenever we license content to Netflix, when the term is up, we always ask if they want to renew it. So do you guys want to, renew this for 2 years, 3 more years? How do you want, or do you want it just removed from the platform? So the only thing Netflix is very secretive on, their algorithm and what they consider successful, but I believe it's mostly because of views. They want to see how many hours are streamed, how many minutes are streamed from that for that film. Again, they never tell, when we go back to review to see if they do want to renew the process or renew the film, they basically will just be like, oh, it didn't do as well. And I'm assuming it's just no one watched it. So again, they're very secretive on, what they consider successful. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not sure if you can even really tell, like, if new people came solely for that. I'm sure there may be ways that, you can see a new subscriber and then the first thing that they watched was what, so I'm sure there's ways to do that. But yeah, I would say it's probably based off of, the total amount of views and, obviously they might not want to renew something that they just see a steady decline in, visibility and whatnot. So
now what, you've done, from my knowledge, from my research, you did, I think, 600 Netflix deals this year or last year, something like that?
Oh man. Let's see. I think, last year was a good year. I think overall I've done
thousands.
Probably about, getting up to 1,000, different deals with Netflix, whether, that's just one-time feature film or it's multiple series. We also obviously work with a lot of the originals as well and doing those deals. But yeah, it's definitely up there. And so it keeps growing. So
with all of that, experience and seeing what's, going through the pipeline, what are some tips you can give filmmakers that are trying desperately to get into Netflix?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, again, Netflix, it needs to look professional. The film, I feel like any filmmaker can go review like a trailer and just be like, oh yeah, the production quality is really not there. You can kind of tell by the camera that was used or the editing that was done. The main thing is, they do want it to look like it should have been in theaters, but it came to Netflix instead. Obviously with documentaries, and they're really big with documentaries.
Huge.
They have a different like standard because, at the end of the day, the documentary just needs to tell an amazing story. It needs to, answer questions that we've all been thinking thinking about and wanting to know the answers to. So documentaries, the standards are not as high as, narratives, feature narratives, but, they want it high production value. You don't have to spend a lot of money to make it look good. Whether that's you just have a good editor. Good camera guy. Good camera guy, good editor. I know there was one film that I reviewed and I loved the film, but I hated the trailer. And I went back to the content owner and I said, you have to change this trailer because, Netflix, as you can imagine, not only do they use us to help curate content for them, but they don't have time, to watch all these films. So they can watch the trailer within like 20 seconds, know if it's going to be good or not. Right. And that's solely based off of how well it's shot and how well it's produced. And at the end of the day, they just want a something that they think everyone would want to see, whether it's a comedy, a comedy, obviously. And again, with me, I love the horror films, so I'm always looking for the horror films. It's just at the end of the day, they just want good content and they want something that they think everyone would enjoy.
Now, is this are they looking at more of a broad, spectrum, or are they looking for niches as well? Because documentaries tend to be niches.
The documentaries, are definitely a little nichey about, something I don't like to say they like the controversial stuff, but they
like the controversial stuff.
They like, but they do. But they like stuff, that's a little bit off the beaten path. They don't want this is how you make cookies on Saturday. They want, this is what gluten will do to you and stuff like that, so they want
the evil gluten. As thank God Deadpool threw all the gluten into space so it cannot hurt us ever again.
But so documentaries, definitely, they want that niche not conspiracy, but like, this is what's happening with our planet. This is what,
well, I mean, I've seen some stuff on Netflix that is, some stuff goes conspiracy-ish.
Oh, yeah.
But they do have very niche, like the yoga documentary, or a meditation, or a vegan documentary, or definitely the health documentaries. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show. But now the Duplass brothers just came out with those 2 amazing documentary series. The murder one, I forgot the one that just came out, the murder one, and then the Wild Wild Country, which is amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, those kind of things are they looking? But that's on the doc side. How about on the narrative? Do they ever look for more niche stuff like the football movie, or a kid's dragon movie?
Yeah, I think they're always obviously always looking for content that they don't really have. Like, I know at one point they're looking for like faith-based. Something that, just because they didn't have a lot of faith-based content, so nothing that was like Jesus, and stuff like that, but like, just like had that underlying family story about,
like faith.
Faith. Just
faith, not like, we're gonna,
not like this is
Jesus,
going to church and
exactly.
But that underlying, faith story.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it just depends, month to month, because what I even look at when I am reviewing stuff for Netflix is I'll go to their site and I'm like, okay, are they oversaturated with something? Mm-hmm. Do they have too much? Yeah. Again, did they have, because at one point they didn't want horror films because it was just all over the place. They were just buying horror content. So, now, I would go and I would see, oh, they don't even have that much horror content anymore. So let me find some horror stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just, they want it well-rounded. They don't want to be too heavy on one thing. But yeah, again, it's still, every time we talk to them, what it goes down to is, they just want it to be commercial. They want it to be something everyone would watch, and it's not just a select group would watch for the narratives type stuff.
All right, cool.
And then again, they keep saying they like genre-based. So whether that's, a mystery, a thriller, a horror, a comedy, dramas right now, I feel like is a little oversaturated on Netflix. So that's something that they're not really actively looking for, just because, drama is, a pretty vague, genre, but, if it's solely drama, it might not be something that would just work for them, because unless again, it's like an amazing story or whatnot. But
gotcha.
So yeah, those genres is what they're looking for.
All right. Now there's a couple other SVOD companies out there, Hulu and Amazon. So, you and I worked together closely on This Is Meg when we got Hulu to buy it. What is Hulu looking for, and how do they differ from Netflix? Because they are different beasts. So what is Hulu looking for in general?
Yeah. So right now, obviously the biggest difference with Hulu is they're not they're not really in a lot of the same territories Netflix is in. Their main territories are US and Canada, and they're slowly expanding to other, international territories. Mm-hmm. The other big difference is, they will accept something as a non-exclusive basis. So basically they're saying you can be on an Amazon Prime or another SVOD platform. Mm-hmm. And that being said, they may not pay as much if it is a non-exclusive, but, they do take non-exclusive content. Regarding the type of content they are looking for, they are looking, I believe after which is crazy, after the whole Strangers thing happened and they're looking for content that kind of brings you back to your childhood,
Nostalgia.
Yeah. So they, their main audience demographic is actually 18 to 35-year-old male. Mm-hmm. So they're looking for that content that kind of brings you back to that the nostalgia feeling. Mm-hmm. And they're, again, similar to Netflix, they are looking for new releases, first run content, but another thing is, they like the festival films, anything that comes from, similar, again, similar to Netflix, they like the festival runs. But the main thing is, just, those films that bring you back to a certain time in your period, or in your young life or whatever.
Now, let me ask you a question. In your opinion, because I want to know this, and just in your opinion, What were the determining factors you think that This Is Meg had that Hulu decided, you know what, we're going to buy this for the platform? In your opinion?
I think it's just because it was a first run, comedy, and a female comedy, so it's, I think, a lot of the comedies that we see now are a little bit more, I mean, now it's actually changed, but, back in the day when This Is Meg was
Last
licensed,
year.
back in the day, so long ago, there was just a lot of male driven comedies. So I think the fact that this one was kind of a little different, stood out to them. And obviously, again, because it was a first run on their site, that actually helped out a lot. But yeah, I think just the subject matter and it being a female lead driven film helped out a lot.
And then, and I'm assuming the faces that were in the movie helped a little bit.
And then the faces definitely helped out. Yeah. So, I mean, familiarity is definitely good. Again, social media, people, blasting that it's going to be on Hulu definitely helps out. Because at the end of the day, I feel like our generation now is all about social media and how many followers you have. I mean, it's even like casting, people are casting solely based off of how many social media followers you have, which is crazy. It's crazy.
It's horrible. But I get you. But no, I think they started doing that a little while ago, but now they've discovered that doesn't actually mean that they have talent.
It doesn't necessarily.
But if there's two equally talented people, they will go with the one with the higher. Following,
for sure,
without question.
For sure.
Now, so that's Hulu. Now, is Amazon as SVOD buying anything, because they have the ability with Amazon Video Direct to you can actually upload your own movie up there and just take like a percentage or whatever. So are they even buying things anymore from the independent world?
So yeah, I mean, it's very very rare for Amazon to buy content. The only things I really do see them buying now are directly from film festivals. They actually have that film festival program that if you're in a couple top major festivals like TIFF or Sundance, Berlin, Cannes, that they actually give you money.
It's $100,000. Yeah, they'll give you $100,000.
Yeah, it's great. Like, it's crazy.
They straight up, like, if you're in the festival, we'll give you $100,000.
Yeah. So that's crazy right then. That the fact that they even have that money. I mean, but it is Amazon.
It's Amazon.
Amazon's a beast.
It's a beast.
But yeah, otherwise, anything that's independent, they are always pushing you towards that direct upload. Unless obviously there's they're still looking for name stuff. But yeah, I feel like anything that they are licensing is going to be more of a blockbuster, something that had a theatrical release, was in these film festivals that are well known. Otherwise, yeah, I think they're just pushing people to the video direct.
Yeah, so that way they don't have to pay for anything, and they're still getting the content.
Yeah. Now, if they're giving out $100,000 per film, for this festival, it totally makes sense why they're doing that. But
now, and also Amazon, on a technical spec standpoint, they're just ridiculous. It's so hard.
So that's what, that's one of the things, because now they allow obviously anyone who has a finished content to upload directly to their site.
Yeah.
But the thing is, their specs are a lot stricter now. Obviously ridiculous. They don't want garbage. They don't want, I've seen stuff where it's like home videos of someone skateboarding or something. It's like right. They don't need that stuff, So that's why they definitely have increased the technical requirements and made it a lot more strict and unlimited, I guess, for people to upload.
So that basically that's the way they're curating, because they can't curate the content per se, but they can curate how difficult it is to get it, and only professionals will be able to do what is asked of them. It's being asked of them. So they're saying, well, if they could get through our requirements, chances are that their content's probably going to be up to snuff.
Yep. And that's a lot of people. They come to us because we're always, we're open to, at Distribber, we're open to helping you guys out. But a lot of people come back to us. They're like, let us try it first and see what happens. But a lot of them do come back to us because they're the first day that they uploaded it, they get a rejection and they're like, I have no idea what a repeated frame is. How do I fix, so yeah, we do, we definitely are encouraging people to, upload their content. They get paid directly, which is amazing.
But if they go through you, I was told by one of your higher ups that you guys actually have a better deal with Amazon than if I would upload it directly, as far as SVOD stuff is concerned. Per minute, like the per minute.
I think that has changed. I know they definitely changed their requirements. because back, about like a couple of months ago, we used to have a better deal per minute than anyone who can go and upload.
Sure.
But they actually just basically flatlined it. Not flatlined it, but they basically made it the same across the board for anyone now. So whether you're a Joe Schmo independent filmmaker or you're actually an aggregator like us, they actually just made it one fee for everyone. So definitely that was the case for us. Right. And now it's they're like, nope, we're doing it across the board.
But you could definitely help with the technical requirements. And trust me, that's worth the price of admission, man. Because
I
uploaded
it's tough.
A few things.
It's tough.
I'm a professional post-production guy. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show. When I gave you all of the deliverables for Meg, I think we didn't have any issues. But Amazon, oh my God, what a pain in the ass they are. And not even with Meg, with other things I've uploaded. I was like, God damn, man. Yep. So would you agree in today's world that the days of having the cool trailer and the poster was enough to sell a film online? It's more about really getting good content made?
I mean, I definitely still think, a good trailer and a poster will go a long way, because it's what I always say is especially your poster. Your poster is your marketing piece. Your poster is when I'm scrolling through libraries, and just trying to find something to watch, the poster is the first thing that will stick out to me. So again, it definitely helps. And I think a good quality poster will market your film and get eyes on it. That will lead you to the trailer. After you see the poster, you're like, all right, this, for me, there's blood on the poster.
Of course, obviously. But if the movie is, but before you should just be, if you could make a cool trailer and a good poster, but the movie sucked, that was all you needed to sell the movie. But nowadays, if you get into a Netflix or something like that, they look at per minute. So you actually have to hold people's interest now. Yep.
So I can't go, and say for sure for Netflix, but I know that they will review the trailer. If they can even sit through the trailer and it interests them, they'll go onto the film, and they will actually they'll block out times of their day to watch films. So they, I don't know for sure if they're like watching 100% of it. I'm sure, if after 20 minutes they have no interest and they, it's not drawing them in, they may pass on it, so, but they are definitely looking at the full film to see if it's like hitting all the checks and whatnot.
Sure.
Before, definitely poster, trailer, let's go for it. But now, they're taking that time and trying to make sure that they're finding the right content for their platform. So the other thing is that is a kind of a mystery, and I wanted you to kind of shed some light on it, is the actual how deals are structured in regards to payment plans. Because a lot of filmmakers think like, oh, I sold this thing for $100,000. I'm going to get a fat check for $100,000. And it generally doesn't work that way. So how does the structure, so everybody understands listening, if you do get a deal with Netflix or Hulu or God forbid Amazon, as far as SVOD is concerned, how, if they give you $50,000 for your movie, how is that broken up over as far as the payment plan is concerned? Yeah. So the majority of the SVOD platforms, unless you have a specific deal in place and and the buyer, whoever you're dealing with, agrees to it, their pretty much standard payments are over the license period. So if you're getting $100,000 for a movie from Netflix
for 3 years,
that $100,000 is going to be paid out in 3 years.
And that's every quarter?
Yep. They pay every quarter. So, so however many, 3 years, 12 payments of, whatever. So it's rare that you would get a lump sum up front of the $100,000. Again, we have seen some specific deals where they may be like 20% up front and then the rest over equal quarterly installments, So it's rare that they pay everything up front. Again, at the end of the day, after 3 years, the content owner has $100,000, but it took 3 years to get that. So
very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you a few questions I ask all of my guests. What advice would you give a filmmaker wanting to break into the business today?
Oh man. I mean, definitely, have the passion, because, I feel like a lot of people, they come into the industry just because they want fame and rich, and be rich. And obviously that will come with your passion. So I would, advise that, the film industry is insanely hard to even like break even in. You're spending all this money, you're probably not going to be getting your return back, in the first couple of films, but it's that passion and that drive that you have behind it, behind the stories that you're telling, that, need to, keep, wake you, give you a reason to wake up in the morning. You
got it.
People who come to the industry and think that they're going to be famous and, strike gold and whatnot. Those people I feel like are out of the industry within like 10 years,
Within 10 years? Are you kidding me? Within 10 months?
Well,
are you kidding me? 10 years? Well, it never last that long.
But it's that, and it's similar to me with acting, I came out to be an actor, and obviously it wasn't my main passion because I was fine to throw it out the door. But, there was a time where I thought I could be, I wanted to be famous. I wanted my name in lights. I wanted all that stuff. But then that wasn't, I just, after that first year or whatnot, my passion, I just realized my passion wasn't in it. So that's why I changed, to distribution. But yeah, passion is huge, man.
Okay. Now, can you tell me what book had the biggest impact on your life or career?
Oh, man.
These are like Oprah questions, so.
I know. Well, I don't read a lot, which is terrible. But I would say the first book that actually like changed my path, I guess, was, all right, this is so cliche, but my first book was It by Stephen King.
Yes, great book.
That kind of made me this horror fanatic that I am. So
okay,
I love that movie, and now so I would say that one definitely was the thing that kind of changed my outlook on what types of films I love, what types of stories I love to read.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what lesson took you the longest to learn, whether in the film business or in life?
Oh man, I guess it took the longest to learn.
And you can still be learning it too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think the end of the day in the entertainment industry, it's rare to find genuinely nice and good people that are interested in what you're doing, so yes. I won't say it took me forever to learn, but for instance, I curate stuff for Netflix. So, at the end of the day, I'm finally learning that, people just want to know the truth, and they want you to be transparent on certain things. So don't sugarcoat things. If it's something that's not good, or, let them know why, just so they can learn and take that to the next film or whatnot. So, I think, my overall learning experience is, just be a genuinely nice person and transparent, and just people will realize that you are a good person and genuine, and they'll want to continue working with you, even if you're not giving them the best answers you want. They want to hear because
so basically, just don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick in the entertainment industry.
I think that's generally the best advice I think you could give anybody in this business. Just don't be a dick.
And at the end of the day, again, I started working with Netflix, and I was working with people at the bottom. Now we continue a relationship, and it's not just a business relationship. I'm friends with these people. So it's, they, we'll do not deals, but they'll, we look out for each other, and we're like, well, let me do this for you. So we know each other, and it's a small industry overall, so again, I've been in it for about 10 years, and I just see people, they're doing the same thing, but they're in different companies. They're in, you don't ever want to screw someone over, because you never know where they're going to be in a year from now, so.
Now, what are 3 of your favorite films of all time?
Oh man. My favorite film of all time is Requiem for a Dream. Love that movie. Then probably Edward Scissorhands.
Okay.
And probably the original Halloween.
Nice. Good. Yeah. I see a theme.
Yeah. I'm not messed up. I swear to God.
For everybody listening, Neil is like the sweetest guy ever. It's always the sweet guys in the corner, just like, hey man, and like, I love blood. It's just like
love horror, murder.
And where can people reach out to you? Well, I'll put links to everybody, but if there's somebody, is your Twitter or anything like that you have?
I don't even have Twitter. I don't have social. The only thing I really have is Facebook. But
okay.
No, I don't have any handles or anything. I'm pretty old school.
I will put links to how you can get a hold of Neil in the show notes. Neil, man, thank you again so much for dropping some knowledge bombs on the Indie Film Hustle Tribe today.
Of course.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a better understanding of Netflix, the inner workings of Netflix. And you know what? I mean, a few years ago, Netflix was just another player on the scene in distribution, and it's just another avenue, a format, and platform to get your stuff out there. But now it has become the platform that everybody wants to get onto, and it's growing and growing more and more every day. So understanding a little bit about what Netflix does, and how they do it is beneficial to any indie filmmaker or any content creator that wants to create content for that platform or other platforms. So I hope that helped you guys out a lot. If you want links to anything we spoke about in this episode, head over to indiefilmhustle.com/251. I'd also like to thank our new sponsor, Streamlit.com. Now, if you're selling your film on Amazon Prime and noticing that you're not getting a whole lot of cash for it nowadays, think about also putting it on Streamlit. It is a SVOD platform, a subscription-based platform where your movie will not be buried. It's free to submit and has a royalty rate 3 times as much as Amazon. So you get to keep all the rights. So if you want to submit your film today, go to streamlet.com. That's STREAMLETTE.com. And I'll leave links to it in the show notes. And that's it for another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. As always, keep that hustle going. Keep that dream alive. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.